Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to be making carrot and applesauce dog treats. So these are really easy to make and the ingredients are easily found either in your own home or in most grocery stores or convenience stores. I'll put the full recipe into the description below and also a link to where I found the recipe originally, but the first thing you're going to need is 2 cups of whole wheat flour or any flour that your pet can really have. So they basically can have most flours. It's almond flour is really good for them, but it tends to be very expensive, or at least it is here anyway. It's just white flour isn't all that good for them out of all of them. So if you've got access to brown or whole wheat flour, that would be best. So just make sure that you are using a bowl that is deep enough. So you're wanting a large enough bowl for all the ingredients, because I made different treats at some point recently enough, and I used a very shallow bowl. And I didn't realise, and when I started mixing it, it just started going everywhere. So make sure you've got a bowl that's deep enough, because this dough tends to stay very dry and break apart, so it'll kind of fall around the place. After you've done the 2 cups of flour, you're going to want to do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Make sure it's baking powder and not baking soda or bicarbonate of soda, because these are 2 different things. So baking powder has an acid in it, I think. It's a cream of tartar and something else, I'm not 100% sure. I used to bake a lot more than I do now, so I do not recall, but it is different things. So you want baking powder, not soda. Next, you're going to want to put in a ½ cup of applesauce. So you can buy applesauce like I've done here. I just got a jar of it from Tesco. It was really cheap. It's mostly, I don't have the jar on me right this moment while I'm recording the audio for this, but it was like 98% apples and 2% sugar or something like that. It was very mostly apples, so that's why I got it, and I just didn't want to have to spend the time making my own. However, my friend Kira makes her own applesauce from scratch whenever she's making these types of treats, and she has said to me, and I will quote because I have not done it myself, that it's basically you peel and cut the apples and you put them into a saucepan and you cover the apples with water and then you just cook them until the apples are all soft. So most of the water will evaporate and it'll just end up with being kind of water and mashed up apple. And then you can use that straight the way it is. As with any recipe and any food you're making, it's always important to taste it along the way to make sure it's okay. And since these are dog treats, Pickle has volunteered very graciously and selflessly to be the taste tester for this recipe, just to make sure that it's all going according to plan, you know? Next, you're going to want to have some grated carrot. I chose the finest grating option on my grater, and you're going to want to put roughly a ½ cup in. I picked up, I think, 3 kind of medium-sized carrots that I got, more on the small side, and then I grated, I think, two of them roughly, and then I split the last carrot amongst the dogs, you know, for their fantastic supervisory roles in this operation. And don't worry, I know you're seeing a lot of Pickle here and not a lot of Beauty, but Beauty's fine. She's just kind of chilling on the couch beside me at this point. She wasn't feeling too well while I was recording this. She was kind of, her weight had gone down, her insulin was having to be changed a bit, and she just, I don't know, she wasn't acting herself. But I'm glad to report that as of right now, when I'm recording this and posting this, and I recorded this like 2 weeks ago, I'm so sorry, she's doing much better. She's a lot more lively and a lot more happy going around the place and more willing to seek out food here and there. Next, you're going to want to add some oatmeal. So 1 cup of oatmeal is going to be added to it. So I just used porridge oats because it's the same thing. And then you're going to want to add and beat 1 egg. Don't eat the egg, you need it for the ingredients. This is the part where you beat it. Give the mixture just a little bit of a mix around, because you're going to want to just kind of separate out the big lump of applesauce and the egg and so on and so forth, and just kind of spread it amongst the mixture. It'll make kind of little lumps and stuff, and it won't really bind together all that well until you do add the milk. But just what I like to do is I like to give it a rough mixing first and then use the milk to bind all these lumps together, rather than trying to have like one side of just really soggy oatmeal and flour and then one side just full of applesauce and carrot. So you're going to put in a ¼ cup of milk. So I didn't have a quarter measure, so I just used most of a third, which works out. And then mix it around then. So it'll just take a little bit of mixing, but if you just keep going, kind of stabbing it with the spoon, it will eventually get to a kind of like sticky lump texture. And once it's reached that texture, you're going to be able to take a bit of parchment paper and a a tray. You're going to preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And for everyone else who isn't American, that's roughly 160 Celsius, so not that high at all. Once your oven is preheating, you can then again just do one last test to make sure that everything tastes good. So Pickle obviously approves of the mixture. Beauty, as you can see, her eyes are acting up. She's going a little bit blind, so she can't see very well. Also, she stole the eggshell from earlier, which she was very pleased to have. But she's mainly focusing on sound. So if I tap somewhere, she'll go to it. But she could not see the mixture at all. The poor bean. So yeah, you're going to take your parchment paper and your tray, and you're going to just put out the little lumps of I used a tablespoon measurement to take out scoops at a time, and then I put them down and I realized they were kind of too loose, so I ended up using my hands to just kind of smoosh them up, roll them around, and then flatten them slightly. These will not spread out like normal cookies do, so they can be put fairly close together, and you're going to be putting them in for about 15 minutes or so until they're kind of like a slightly more golden brown. And after that, when you take them out, you can leave them on a plate to cool as so, and voila, you are done. They end up being a pretty soft kind of cookie texture. They aren't really crunchy on the outside. They're soft enough that they're an easy treat, even if it's a very young dog or a very old dog. And my guys seem to like them anyway. I really like this recipe due to the fact that it does make a good few, so I don't remember how many I made there. I'll have to go back and count the tray, but I know I made a good few of them anyway. And I basically will take a Ziploc bag and put them all into that and then put it in the freezer. And then I'll have just a smaller little Ziploc bag in the fridge where I'll have 6 or so of them at a time ready, thawed out, ready to go. So that if I want to give one to the dogs, I can give them 1 or 2, or I can add one to their breakfast or something like that. So they have them available and they'll stay fresh. So the recipe says that they will stay fresh for about 5 days in the fridge, or you can freeze them, and the freezer is a magical place. Nothing goes off in the freezer. So yeah, there you go. I think they approve. Pickle is a very picky dog, so she won't eat new things a lot of the time until she has seen someone else eat them, be it myself or Beauty. But she did end up really liking these, and I think at this point it's been roughly 2 weeks or so, and I think I've got half of them left because I'm just giving them to them every now and then, sparingly enough. Beauty absolutely adores them. She just kind of chomp, swallow, is done. And Pickle likes to kind of nibble at them until they're down to just crumbs, and then she like licks the crumbs off the carpet. So altogether, I think they're a success. And yeah, I'll probably make them again at some point. Let me know if you guys do make them. I'd be interested to know if you changed the recipe at all, if you added something or replaced something with something else, if you used some other form of flour and so on and so forth. And so yeah, that's it. And yeah, after this I made brownies for myself, and Beauty kept a very close eye on the cookies to make sure they weren't being given away to someone else. Thanks so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will do my absolute best to help. Thank you very much. Have a good day.